Ladies and gentlemen, please rise. And now to honor America, please join in the singing of our national anthem. Representing the three-time Stanley Cup champion New Jersey Devils, Arlette.
I feel like I'm at a game. Oh my gosh. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the
Beat Devils Sunday! I could do that because I'm in Florida right now. This is the Let's Go Devils podcast, season 2, episode 36. Will the St. Louis Blues do it tonight? Did I just jinx them? I don't know.
I hope not.
Yeah, I hope not too.
And you, Sammy, I'm gonna have to say you could have absolutely said Happy Stanley Cup Sunday. Uh-oh. Sam looks like he's sneezing away there.
He's either lost or
Oh yeah,
he's having a,
well done,
a
Sam.
moment.
Yeah, I think I just got the cough button just in time on that one.
Hey, you know what? You know what, Sam? You waited about 57, 58 minutes last week to screw up. You did it in the first 4 this week. Well done.
Oh, well, thank you very much. All right, I'll go to you two right now.
All right, cool.
I was just watching game 6 over there, and it just went into the into the first intermission. So it's going into the second period, and it's brutal out there, as it should be, because it's Stanley Cup Finals and it's game 6 and a clinching game, hopefully for St. Louis. But it is a brutal match going on the ice. It's getting really physical. It's been physical the whole series, but I don't know. It's fun to see. It's like weird. I'll even though the Devils aren't in the Stanley Cup Finals or even in the playoffs, I still watch as much as I possibly can. And I knew this series was going to be a nice physical one when the Sharks got taken out by the Blues.
Yeah, guys, I'm back. I recovered. I just want to let you guys know that.
Very good, Sam. We're glad to have you back.
Good to be seen.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I'm I'm a little disappointed, Beer Baron. I haven't had a chance to watch any of this game so far. I've been running around trying to get set up for the podcast after being at the shore all day. So it's
You look like you got a nice little color to you.
I hope so. There wasn't a lot of sun today, but there was sun yesterday.
Yeah.
So, and I missed most of it. I went to a show instead of being at the beach. So, well, what are you gonna do?
Well, what about me,
worth
Beer Baron? I'm down in Florida right now. I went to Kennedy Space Center today. Do I look a little tan?
Nerd. Yeah. I mean,
Hey! I'd go to the same place. So you watch that cough of yours. Better get a cough button for Beer Baron.
What I was trying to. No, I was just looking at the rockets.
No, that stuff is cool, man. Are you kidding me?
Yeah,
that stuff is cool. Like raw power.
It's kind of like Jack Hughes being the first overall pick. His stock is rising.
That, ladies and gentlemen, is how you segue into the next segment. Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Textbook. Oh, by the way, because I messed up the opening monologue. Number one, happy anniversary! Devils winning their third cup. Was it today? Yeah, it was today. It's also Grant Marshall's birthday today.
Happy birthday to Grant.
I don't know how old he is today, but happy birthday, Grant. And let's not forget Rob Klabosis.
Yeah, buddy.
Devils diehard. It's his birthday today, and the only reason why I know about it is because he said to me about a couple months ago, "Hey, why don't you guys do a live event on my birthday?" And I was like, I don't think we can do that. Yeah, but it turns out that Rob went camping anyway, so he had a good time on his birthday. Yeah, nobody could reach him. Yeah, nobody could reach him when I had questions about some series of posts on the Devil's message boards, but that's another story for another day. Anyway, that's the end of my opening monologue. I'll go back to you guys.
All right.
Hey, there's Rob. Rob, happy birthday, dude. It's Rob Day. Sure, Rob, it's your birthday.
There you go.
Although, Rob, you're going to have to challenge Grant for supremacy of the day since it's his birthday, too.
Yeah, seriously. It's funny because, like, I was sitting here thinking about it the other day. Actually, during the middle of the week, I did my usual, like, looking up just different things, Jack Hughes highlights and stuff like that, and just kind of looking at everything. And I keep forgetting that we have 3 picks in the second round, which is it's pretty huge. And the fact that we have the 34th pick is also pretty big. And there's a couple of names that are possibilities that could slide down the board. And if they do, I wonder if Ray Shuro is going to make a bold move and try to jump back into the later part of the first round to try to grab some of these kids. I'm just excited, dude. I'm just ready for it to happen. I feel like it's taking forever for the draft to actually take place, and I want it to be here so we could celebrate it, so we can finally know and finally be over it.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it too. The draft will take a lot of precedence once, or prominence, I should say, is the correct word. Once the finals are over, whether it be tonight or was it Tuesday or Wednesday, would be a potential Game 7.
Mm-hmm.
So once the Stanley Cup's awarded, which the possibility is absolutely tonight.
Hopefully,
I hope so too. Everything will shift immediately to the draft, which will be cool because the Devils will come into the national spotlight for the league. Who are they going to pick? Yeah, and then the debates will rage on between now and when the Devils are up there and whoever it is, Hughes or Kakko, is holding our jersey. Up until that point, the debate will rage on. But I totally agree with you with the fact that we've got those second round picks. There could be big moves. So when we had that 9th overall that we traded for Corey Snyder, you can argue whether or not you like that trade. That's up for debate yet. But there's got to be some moves. I think if we want Taylor Hall to stay, which I'm really not believing all these massive rumors.
Yeah,
and
that's something
all this stuff that you see online. Everyone's like, "Oh, he wants to leave." It all started from an article with a very, very vague quote. And now everyone's up in arms. Like I have Ranger fan friends sending me, and the rest of my hockey team that I play with sending links to me. He's gone. He's gone. He's leaving. The Devils got to do a lot to make him stay. But I want to say I don't believe it's as bad as it sounds. But I do know that the Devils need to make some moves when it comes to this year. I think that this year they're better set up. They have much more cap space. The free agent market is going to be better this summer than last summer because there really wasn't much last summer. And with all the draft picks we have, we can absolutely make some moves to bring in some players and or draft some players.
Yeah, it's funny because with all this Taylor Hall talk, there's a lot of people. So it came from the fourthperiod.com, which I'm a huge fan of their work typically. And he kind of stirred the pot about what was going to happen with Taylor Hall and kind of saying like, oh, he's leaving. He doesn't want to be back. He's not interested. Essentially, it was like he's not interested in signing a long-term contract with the Devils. And that's not it's not. Sam, I don't know if you read what Sam just wrote. I'm not going to read that out loud, but
yeah, you can't.
But anyways, it's funny because a lot was made out of that, and people just kind of took that and ran with it. But Taylor Hall and his agent both came out. First of all, Ray Shiro put the kibosh on it right away and was like, I don't know where this information is coming from, but it's not coming from either side. And then to double down, Taylor Hall's agent came out and said, this is all fabricated. And then Taylor Hall came out and said, so then you have a trifecta. Taylor Hall is basically saying like, listen, I'm not the priority right now. They have the draft coming up. They have free agency coming up. They have a lot of other things that are coming up. And I don't want to be in the way of all that. He's taking a step back to be like, you know what, take care of what you have to take care of. And I'm sure there's way more to it than we know or we're privy to. But I think people start freaking out for no reason. Oh, this is going to be the summer of Taylor Hall, like the summer of Covey. I don't think it's going in that direction, to be honest with you.
No, absolutely not.
Guys, I think what really scares me? You know what really scares me?
What's Sam?
And I know this is kind of stupid. I'm not talking about what I texted you guys, but what scares me is the Toronto Raptors, and I know it's the NBA, they're one game away from winning it all in the NBA. Okay. And here's Taylor Hall sitting at each game, or some of the games, right? There was that one picture when they played the 76ers and the Devils ownership group with Taylor, watching the game together. But to see an entire country back one team in Toronto.
But it's different. It's completely different. It's completely different.
You don't think that Tavares is going to be like, hey, man, why don't you come over to the dark side?
With money? What cap space? They would have to get rid of at least Mitch Marner and maybe one or two other guys to fit room for Taylor Hall. They're having problems right now trying to figure out how they're going to fit in Mitch Marner right now. Right? So Mitch Marner is going to want like at least 10 million plus. And after this contract that was just given away to Skinner, who is less productive in 82 less games than Taylor Hall has been, Taylor Hall is going to demand at least, I'm going to say 11 a year, at least. And that's,
we have the space for it.
Exactly. We have the cap space. I think the situation is he wants to make sure that he's not getting into another situation that he was in when he was in Edmonton, where he doesn't want to be a part of this rebuild that goes on and on and on and on, that doesn't end up going anywhere, that he's, given a bunch of empty promises and a bunch of number one draft picks come in and he gets kind of shuffled into the back of the deck. He wants to make sure that he's going to be on a team that's going for a cup. I don't think, and honestly, if Ray Shiro is smart about this, if he knows for a fact that Taylor Hall is not going to be a part of this team, he will trade him. It's not like Ray is one of those guys that's going to sit on his hands and be like, oh, well, we'll wait and see. And then boof, they're gone. I hate to say it, but the last regime used to do that a lot.
Yeah. Well, if Taylor Hall wanted they'll move him. And I bring this up a lot, and I know we talked about it, a lot when it happened. But if Adam Henry can get traded, anybody can get traded.
Mhm.
He was easily one of the most fan favorites of the last 10 years, and they traded him. And if Taylor Hall's not going to want to be here, they won't let him walk. They'll move him somewhere. So
we would hope so too, right?
Yeah, and I hope he wants to be here. We all hope he wants to be here. We also all look at this team with a much different vision than a lot of these players come into it. Because this is a team we grew up with. This is the only team that we love for the most part. And we players
saw success with them.
Yes, and we have seen
where he's come in and he's seen one playoff run that lasted 5 games. So I mean, like I don't disagree with him. And to be honest with you, if he wanted to leave to go to a team that's ready built, that's ready to contend, oh God, why'd you put the screen on me, Jesus? But I mean, like the truth of the matter is if he wanted to go to a team that was ready built to make a deep run in the Stanley Cup Finals, take like a Columbus or a Tampa or whatever, you can't blame him for that. You can't blame him for wanting to win. But at the same time, not at all. Patience is a virtue. If he can hang on for a little bit longer, I think that this is a summer that Ray puts it all together. I feel like this year, and I might be going out on a limb, who knows? I think this year they make it into the playoffs, depending on how the team rolls into the playoffs. If they limp in to 1 round exit, but if they go in strong, they have the talent to be dangerous. And if they put the right pieces in place and they get a couple of trades, and there's been a lot of talk about Trouba from Winnipeg. There's been talks about taking runs at other defensemen, Line, which would be crazy. I mean, there's things that could happen with this team from now until July 1st or even past that could reshape what we see. And I mean, I think all signs are pointing in that direction, but maybe that's just blind optimism.
Well, even a better example, the 2 teams in the Stanley Cup Finals, the Blues were in last place in January. Last place.
Fighting each other in practice.
Yeah. And where are they now? They're 40 minutes and 2 goals away from winning the Stanley Cup.
Mm-hmm.
Should they be able to put 2 goals in right now? Anything's possible. The Devils have a lot of talent. They just got to put it together. They have the first overall pick again. Jack Hughes, assuming he's the first overall pick, it would not shock me if he doesn't come in and make an instant impact right away. Mm-hmm. It would not surprise me to see Kakko make an instant impact and then Devils fans lose their minds. That's fine. That's just the way Devils fans tend to be sometimes. I mean, just look at all this talk about the Taylor Hall, potential of not wanting to be here. I think that the Devils are going in the right direction. I think, Taylor Hall, however, does have bad memories and has been bit before by the Edmonton, like you mentioned, the Edmonton thing, first overall. That team should be perennial Stanley Cup finalists with the talent in which they drafted. But a constant type A personality coming in with first overall, it doesn't always mesh. Having the best players doesn't always equate to having the best team. Mm-hmm. And I think the Devils own, not the ownership, management, I think has a better chance of putting a great team together than I think the Edmonton does at all. So, but I don't blame Taylor Hall. Yeah, now
Sam is just playing like a ring around the rosy right now.
And you know what? He's singling us out like as we're done with what we're speaking about.
So there's that like awkward pause at the very end. Seriously though, and to address a few of the questions that and guys that are in the Facebook group, I've been watching and trying to keep up with what everybody's saying. Robert says, do you think that Shiro can get the Devils to be a playoff contender team next season? And my answer to that, the short answer is yes, and the long answer is yes, but there's a lot of things that he needs to manipulate and move around and do. And he is the type of guy to do it. I mean, he got Larson for Hall. You know what I mean? 1 for 1.
All
And I
for
mean,
Larson.
that's not
All for Larson.
Hall for Larson. Yeah. Jeez. Imagine it went the other way. He's like, I changed my mind, flipped it back the other way.
Yeah, right.
But honestly, it's getting these pieces that they can fit together and make sure that it's a cohesive group, because you can go out, you can get a Carlson, but if he doesn't fit in the group and if he doesn't work with the team, then what the hell's the point of it? You know, you can go out and get a Panarin, and if he doesn't mesh well with the team, if he doesn't want to play with a Jack Hughes or a Nico Hischier or even a Taylor Hall, then what the hell's the point of going out and get that guy? You have to make sure that everybody fits the scheme that you're trying to build around, and there's pieces in place already. You know, Blake Coleman and you know, Nico Hischier and Jack Hughes, assuming that, I'm just going to say, I assume they're drafting Jack Hughes. You have your potential number 1-2 center for the next 10 years. You know what I mean? So you're building in the right direction. It's just a matter of getting everything around it to mesh. And then you got to hope that your goaltender stays healthy, or Mackenzie Blackwood really emerges as number 1.
Yeah. You know, and you see every now and then you see rookie goalies just kind of, you know, take it and run. I mean, like, look at Binnington right now. He's a 25-year-old rookie, took the reins in January and hasn't let go. And he's got the confidence to come back after big games, you know, big losses, and produce real good winners. So, you know, the potential for the Devils is there. Can we make the playoffs next year? Yeah, it's absolutely a possibility. Can we guarantee it? No, because we haven't seen this team together. And I still think that it's a, you know, plus and positive that Jack Hughes has already been skating with Taylor Hall. You know, you have to assume though that Shero has gone to Taylor Hall and said, "Hey, how is this kid when you're skating with him? Even in an informal setting where it's, you know, you may get the better view of the kid's personality. Like, is he a good kid? Do you like him? Would you mesh with him? You know, I gotta assume that Taylor Hall, not that the Devils would take that in, you know, would take his opinion as gospel and go with whatever pick Taylor wants. But you got to admit that carries some weight with management. They absolutely have to consider his opinion on him, and it's definitely gonna make a difference.
Yeah, and there's also a possibility of, you know, Eric Burns brings up a good point. Ty Smith is coming down the pipeline. You have a couple of kids that could make an impact within the next year or two. You know, you have Davies, who could be coming into the AHL and could possibly make could be making an impact on the team. You have a couple other little pieces that are going to be falling in, hopefully into place, and Ty Smith is going to be I think a really big piece of that. And if he keeps maturing the way that he's maturing, he's going to be an absolute steal from the draft before. So who knows? There's so many things that are a possibility. All the cards are kind of like up in the air, and really the only person that has an idea of what direction he's going to go in is Ray Shero, and you know he doesn't really like to talk. So
no, that's the one thing. Even when we went from Lamoriello to Shero, we went from one GM who didn't say much to another GM that says possibly even less than Lamoriello and Ray Shero. Like nothing escapes that front office, which I got to commend. I think that's great, because a lot of times those leaks are just, you know, put out just to, you know, for clicks and to sell newspapers and stuff like that. You know, you really have to commend them for keeping all that close to the vest. Especially, I still think one of the best deals that was kept close to the vest was the deal to get Corey here. Mm-hmm. That was done the night before, and it didn't leak. That's incredible. In this day and age of social media, it's like I know social media was big, but not like today. When that trade happened, and it didn't leak at all. That I think is fantastic. So, you know, front office that keeps it, you know, what they're doing, you know, real close.
So. Sorry, there's a lot of chatter going on back and forth. The war room will be busy. So just to kind of change gears a little bit, I just wanted to talk a little bit about the Stanley Cup Finals and one guy in particular that the Devils kind of missed out on, but it ended up being an all right thing is Patrick Maroon. Maroon was the guy when the Devils got him, and when we went on the playoff run, I was hoping that the Devils would re-sign him and bring him back the next year, but then he ended up signing it with St. Louis this year. And it was one of those, I'm from St. Louis. I have this opportunity. I'm a hometown kid. He ended up going back, and it's been like a pretty great story over there. I got to tell you, I find myself pulling for Marcus Johansson, who's on the Bruins right now, but it would be really nice to see Patrick Maroon win a Stanley Cup tonight. And right now, it is we're about 14 minutes left in the first or second period, and it's still 1-0 Boston. So they got to do something.
They do have to do something. And you know what? I'm going to say that. No, that's cool, Sam. I'm going to say this with Patrick Maroon. I would have loved to have kept him, but I'm curious if he's playing with a ton more heart right now because this is his hometown team, about to bring a Stanley Cup, hopefully bring a Stanley Cup tonight to his hometown team and franchise. I think you play at a whole other level when you're playing at home. If you can handle it, because you see a lot of guys from Toronto go to Toronto and it doesn't work out.
Take a giant dump.
Yeah. But Patrick Maroon, I think, is that player. He's not a spotlight player. He's a role player. And he's taken this opportunity to play at home and win it for his hometown. I think it's hard to make a comparison. Would he have played hard for the Devils? Yeah, absolutely. Is he playing harder now than he would have? I'm going to say yes, because there's a lot more heart on the line and a lot more personal view, a lot more just he's doing it for home. And I think he's playing much harder now than they're getting more out of him than I think we would have.
Yeah, I agree 100%. And it's funny because Eric Burns in the Facebook group, he just said, we do need somebody like Maroon, someone who could score and is a physical force. We have no one with size and strength. I think Bastain, if he could stay on the big club, he's a big boy. I think that kid can mature into that kind of role. And I think that he's going to be starting out, if he does come up in the big team, he's going to be starting out probably on the fourth line. But I think he has the potential to be a big physical force. You saw him kind of like throwing his weight around, when he came up this year or this past year. So it'd be nice to see him kind of take that kind of role with the Devils. And that's another thing too. There's a lot of kids that are in the minors that came up this year or this past year that it's going to be interesting to see what happens with them, with Rooney, with a lot of kids like that. Are they going to come into camp a little bit hungrier because they had a longer stretch of time of experiencing what it's like to play in the NHL? Is there going to be, somebody that surprises everybody? And listen, I know I jokingly talk about Mikey McLeod, but if that kid can mature into like a fourth line center, even though we picked him as high as we did, listen, you got to start somewhere, right? And if he could start on the fourth line, you have that McLeod Bastain on the fourth line. Laugh, I'm being serious. Laugh as much as you want, but that's a serious comment. If you could have those two on the fourth line, that's a hell of a start for a fourth line.
I will take any group of players that'll win us the Stanley Cup.
Well, that too.
Done. Any group of players that can come together and win us the cup, I will take. Even if it includes Mikey McLeod and his horrible tape job on that stick.
So we were asked earlier who the Devils and I forget. I apologize because I forget who asked. I see you laughing, Jake. You watch it. Somebody asked us, who do you think, or who do you want the Devils to target and for defense as a trade? And honestly, there's been some rumors that PK Subban could be had from the Nashville Predators. And if that dude is available, hell yes, back up the truck, figure out a way to bring him here. I think he would be a perfect fit. A perfect fit for this team.
As long as he meshes with the team.
But I think he would. I think he's got such a good positive personality. And this is one of those teams that's like, we're in New York City area without having to be a New York City team. And you know what I mean? Like you could still have your cake and eat it too and still be a big time personality. and still get the endorsement deals and whatever, and not have to worry about, getting ragged on by the well, nobody on the radio talks about hockey, unfortunately, but you're dealing with the pressures of playing with that other team.
Yeah. And Nick Villano last week made a great point about, with who Subban is dating, being in the New York area would be perfect too. So it seems to be a big fit, or a good fit. I just hope he doesn't go to the other team. And
I doubt it. I doubt it. No, I know. You know what? That other team.
You know what? Not for nothing. Shattenkirk went there and he disappeared.
Well, that's what happens. That's what happens to a lot of big name players. They sign that contract and they put on that sweater, and all of a sudden, like they become injury prone or they disappear, and that's just statistically wise. That's what I'll never forget when we signed Covey, and I bought myself a Kovalchuk jersey, and I was sitting in a crowd watching Devils Rangers game, and this Ranger fan was trying to pick a fight with me. And he's pointing at the back of my jersey and he's like, "Oh, how much you pay for this guy?" And blah 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 blah. And I turned around and I rattled off about 10 names. I'm like, Wayne Gretzky, Jaromir Jagr, Scott Gomez, and I'm like, I could keep going. I'm like, how many times have you guys wasted millions and millions of dollars on these big names that you bring into the city, then they haven't won you anything? And he sat down and shut up. But at least it wasn't a fan fighting a fan, right?
Yeah.
By the way, guys, you talk about. Have you seen some of the Facebook videos out the Stanley Cup series?
That's kind of what I was alluding to. Yeah.
Yeah.
I have not had time to watch any of them.
Yeah, and I try to, I try to participate in the trolling. The last game, I think there was a non-call that Bruins fans were going crazy about.
Pretty egregious. Pretty egregious.
Yeah, and the Shorts guy and I have a mutual friend that's a Boston Bruins fan, Patriots fan. He used to own a rink. I'll give that clue. And
Yep.
and I said that was the best non-call ever. He should learn how to be strong on his skates, and I don't think he likes me anymore. But speaking of Boston trolling, we have the Gooch on the Bobby's Auto Care hotline. Gooch, how are you doing, man?
I'm good, guys. How are you guys doing?
What's up, Gooch?
Doing good.
I'm watching the game. It's still 1-0. I can't stand it. I want Cam Neely to cry tonight. You see his little fit last game after that non-call? I didn't think that was that big of a call. I think that guy dove. It's a little silly. And then the fans fighting the fans was fantastic. That's just epic. I mean, when I went up there, I was in that garden a couple times, and they've had to start stuff with me and Sammy. That didn't end well for them. I bought them a beer. Maybe it didn't end well for me because it's $6 out of my pocket. But hey, whatever. The Devils won, and everybody put on their shorts. They jumped in the harbor. That lady didn't like that either in the concourse. But yeah, so we'll see. I got another thing too. Watching this guy, Craig Berube, if you guys remember, back in the day, tough bastard, right? Played for a bunch of teams, 17 years in the NHL, 3,000 penalty minutes. Now he's one win away from the Stanley Cup final, winning the Cup and raising it in St. Louis for the first time ever. It's pretty insane. So what I'm thinking is, if the Devils have a bad year, you fire Hines and you bring in the best tough guy the Devils ever had, and that is Cam Janssen. That would be ridiculous. The guy's a good guy. We wanted him to sign our JJ. He wouldn't do it, but that's all right. And I just hope these Bruins lose tonight. I can't stand them. Marchand is a rat. He looks like he's got pubic hair all over his face. Worst beard in the playoffs. He's probably licking somebody at intermission. It's terrible. I'm done. Cam Neely, he's an old bastard too. He's a good guy. Oh my God, how does that not go in? Anyway,
how does that not?
We'll see what happens. This game's getting out of control.
He just went knee to knee.
So That's that.
Oh, that
The
was
Taylor
called.
Hall
Good,
stuff
good,
too,
good
dude.
call.
My brother-in-law even said that to me tonight about this rumor that he's not going to sign. Dude, stop. Just go back, keep drinking beer, and fix something, please. Don't talk about the Devils. Taylor Hall's going nowhere, and that'll be that. Other than that, guys, what do you guys got? What are you guys up to? What are you doing? Are you there?
Well, hey, we got a comment from Jake Wakely.
Oh, is someone
Gooch.
commenting in Facebook Live that I'm a clown? Ooh, the tough guy. It's probably Brad. It's probably Cam Neely. He probably heard me. Cam Neely's listening to the show, throwing water bottles at the wall. What's the comment?
I do believe this was going to be posted in a Bruins fan group, so it's possible. It's possible Cam Neely's listening.
How is that not in the net? You better replay that. That's insane. All right. Well, you guys can't read the comment? Hello?
Yeah, no, we're here.
It just says that this guy sucks. He's an absolute joke. I don't know. I don't know how you.
Good night. And let's go Blues.
There we go.
Well, that's the Gooch. Well, how do we have the Gooch on twice and not Jake once? How does this happen?
I think I need to get Jake on so he can fire some shots across the bow in person. Maybe you should give him the number, Sam.
Maybe we should work on that.
I like Jake, but I might have to have some choice words with him too. All this Mikey McLeod hate that he spews at me.
Beer Baron, you're the only one that wow. Sorry, I got mesmerized by his save. You're the only one that loves Mikey McLeod, I think, other than his parents. I would hope his parents like. It's his parents, and then Beer Baron. That's who likes Mikey McLeod the most.
I keep waiting for him to have that breakout game, and everybody's like, "Oh my god!" I'm like, "Yeah, you guys could suck it because I told you."
I lost all respect for him when I saw that tape job.
Yeah, I know. Next time I talk to him, I'll tell him you got to fix that tape job,
please.
It's terrible. It's terrible. Anyways, so that was the Gooch, huh? All right,
that was the Gooch wanting the Blues to win.
Yes, and not a fan of Cam Neely.
No way. Although that was great to see Cam Neely throwing that water bottle the other day. That was fantastic.
You know, hey, it's good to see somebody showing some emotion over there. Not like Boston has lost any or won anything recently. Hey, let me just say this too, and I hope you guys understand that are out there listening on any of the platforms that we're doing this on. This is the off season, man. You guys are getting a treat because we're kind of just sitting here spitting some hockey. And to be honest with you, this is our downtime. This is where it's like it's okay to kind of relax and listen to the Gooch's words.
I have to break in here. I'm on.
What happened, Church Guy? Wait, Church Guy, what happened?
Uh-oh.
The save that Tuukka Rask made, it was tipped behind him, popped up behind him.
You think
he almost snagged it behind him with his glove, but he kept it out of the net, and it fell. You just have to see it. Incredible save.
If the Blues win, do you think they'll give the freaking the Conn Smythe Tuukka Rask and give him a screw job just like they did to Brodeur when they gave it to Giguère?
It's possible.
Still one of the biggest absolute jokes in professional sports was when Giguère won the Conn Smythe. I'm sorry, I don't care if anybody's like, "Oh, look at the statistics during their playoff run." Blah 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 blah. It corrects me if I'm wrong, but I believe that Brodeur had more shutouts, had a better goals against average, and I don't know, won the Stanley Cup. I know that was the more important trophy to win that night, but I'm just saying that still burns.
Yeah,
me.
no, it was definitely a letdown. You can't argue though. I'm going to be one of those other guys. You can't argue the effort that Giguère put in that playoff run. If it wasn't for him, the Ducks never would have gotten that far.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. And I want how many times that's what they looked at. That the reason why the Ducks were there was purely because of Giguère.
I don't disagree. I don't disagree, but I just think that Marty had enough of a resume that cup run. He had enough of a resume to warrant getting a Conn Smythe, and nobody would have batted an eye at it. Nobody would have said a single word about it.
He totally did, and I would have loved to have seen Brodeur get it over Jaguar big time. However, you can't discount what Jaguar did for the Ducks.
Oh,
so
I know.
I hated seeing Brodeur not win it, but it was earned by Jaguar. I'll leave it at that. He definitely earned it. Whether or not he deserved it is another question, but he definitely earned it. And they gave it to him. And Brodeur also earned and deserved it as well, but you can only give it to one person.
Wait. I have conspiracy theories left and right here.
No.
See, here comes Sam. Who landed on the moon? Nobody, apparently, Sam.
Yeah, it was done in a studio, right, Sam?
Who was the other guy in the grassy knoll, Sam?
When you're at the Kennedy Center, did you go in the back room that shows where all the filming took place too? Did you find that secret door behind a bookshelf? You pulled the wrong book and
apparently
it opened up.
Apparently, never say that to Buzz Aldrin, even though he's like 90-something years old, because he will punch you square in the face. If you ever want to be entertained, look it up. It's on YouTube. Some guy was like yelling in Buzz Aldrin's face, and Aldrin's like in his 80s. The guy's like, "Whoa, this was fake. You guys faked it." And he just goes, "Boop!" He just punches the guy right in the face.
I have to watch that now.
Seriously, it is fantastic.
I need to see that.
My phone thought I was talking to her.
Can I go to my conspiracy theory?
Oh yeah.
So who votes on getting the Conn Smythe?
The writers, I believe.
The professional.
I believe so,
The Professional Hockey Writers Association.
Yeah.
So these guys, you gotta think about it. They've been covering the Devils during that time period, being in the Cup Finals, in 2001, in 2000, and then back in 95. They were probably just so sick of it at that point that they probably wrote in Jaguar before even the Cup Finals even started. They didn't care at that point. That's what I think.
Sammy, I love you, buddy, but that was the weakest conspiracy theory I've ever heard in my entire life.
Buzz
Aldrin just tired.
What about
that was
Ray
pretty piss poor.
What about Mission 16W, the Colorado Rockies in 2001, when Ray Bork's last chance for a cup?
Oh, let's not talk about that.
And then Game 6, that Gomez goal that was called back? You want to talk about conspiracy?
That's more of a conspiracy than what you just said about Jaguar winning the Conn Smythe.
Well, I was just pointing in the reason for it, but I think a lot of it was the look, Lou Lamoriello and the press. There's too many rules. What better way to get back at Lou than vote the other guy if the Devils had won, which they did. So that was that's my conspiracy theory. What happened?
It's getting really chippy in this game. Even in between on commercial breaks. Yeah, but even on commercial breaks, they're bumping into each other. So
you know what? And that's one of the things I find so incredible about the NHL. And one of my favorite clothing lines, and I'll give them a shout out, is the Violent Gentleman. And I just the whole story behind the line of it is, on the ice, you're killing each other and you're smashing each other's face in and, saying the most vile things you could say. But at the end of the game, when everything is said and done and everything is over and you line up and you shake hands, you're an absolute gentleman about it. And that's the one thing that I find so interesting. Yeah. Except for the time that, people like Sean Avery and stuff like that, but whatever. But, it's like you see these guys pour out their entire, everything they have on the ice, and they're like going at each other and they're, beating the hell out of each other. And if the Blues win, excuse me, I get the hiccups. If the Blues win tonight, they'll shake hands. They'll say congratulations. No hard feelings. And it's like, all right, hey, I'll see you later. Maybe we'll grab a beer or something like that.
Yeah, the only possibility is not for Marchand, but that'll be seen later on. But kind of to shift focus back to the Blues, even though this is a Devils podcast. We know. I'm sorry, I'm watching and talking. We know exactly what it's like for these. We know exactly what it's like for these Blues fans right now to be, on the precipice of winning their first Stanley Cup, and the excitement that comes with it. They were expecting they were expecting tens of thousands outside the arena.
Yeah, but imagine waiting as long as they've waited. And when they first came into the league, get me. I could be wrong about this, but I believe they made the Stanley Cup Finals in their first year of existence.
They made it a couple times.
Jake Wakely, check that out on your fancy computer. But I believe they made it the first year of their existence, and they made it a couple of times when they had Grant Fuhr, and they've had some incredible hockey players come through that town. Brett Hull, even Wayne Gretzky, for what they were hoping to be a push for the Stanley Cup Finals. And thinking '96, they brought over Wayne Gretzky, and they're hoping that was going to be first 3 years. Thank you, Brian.
Here we go.
So you think about it. This is a team that they've been there and they haven't won it. This is a city that, everybody calls it a baseball city, but that city really embraces whatever team they have. And they've really embraced, especially now they don't have a football team because they got shipped out again.
They lost their football team after winning a championship.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's one of those things that you hope to see this team win. Screw Boston. They can go cram it up there, I just, the Red Sox, the Patriots, like, who gives you guys don't need to win anymore. All right. I don't know why, but I've started hating the Bruins during this playoff push. And then, like, as soon as they got to the Stanley Cup Finals, I was like, I really don't like the Boston Bruins.
Yeah, and I love the city of Boston, but I'm tired of seeing Boston win. I really am. More so, I think that all stems from the Patriots because they're just so obnoxiously annoying.
Oh, terrible.
And
hey, we did it again. Whoa.
Yeah. I'm just tired of seeing them
I'm
win.
sitting here drinking Sam Adams, but whatever.
Whatever. I mean, I love the city. Don't get me wrong. There's a lot of history in the city, which I absolutely love. So I have no issue with the city. I just have issue with them winning again. I would love to see St. Louis win it. And
I mean that just goes to push towards the parity of the league, which is awesome.
Fantastic. And you gotta assume that Brodeur has his fingerprints on this too.
Which is awesome too.
Brodeur's gotta have his fingerprints on this. Even though they're meteoric rise since January, the setup had to have been there, and he must have some kind of fingerprints on this, which I think would be fantastic. And I hope that's the case. But Tuukka Rask is playing out of his mind right now.
You think that he would? That's because his mom was a pug. But you think that he would? I'm sorry,
it's terrible.
Have you ever seen this guy? I know, it's terrible. His mom was not a pug; she's a bulldog. But anyway, so if they do win the cup, if the Blues do find a way to win the cup, whether it be tonight or whether it be in Game 7, do you think Brodeur goes and celebrates with the team?
I think
Brodeur. You said he might have some handprints on his team. So,
well, I'd be curious if Brodeur is there right now. It's possible. I don't think they have not shown him there. He may possibly be there because I guarantee he's got friends there. How could he not? He was there for a couple of years. Does he go out and celebrate with? It's possible. I mean, who knows? It's a free country. He can go do whatever he wants if he wants to go celebrate. And I would have no issue if he had It would be like celebrating. It would be like going out to the bar with friends from an old job. That's what it would be.
Exactly. Yeah, that's a good point. It's a good point.
No issue. And on top of that, winners hang out with winners, so I have no problem with that either. Brodeur's a winner, obviously, and hanging out with other winners. And it could turn into, hey, I know you just won, and they're not going to have room for you. Who knows?
It's still so weird that he ended up having to play for them for like a year. You know what I mean? Like it's so weird.
I think
I hate how that ended.
I was never a fan of how the organization handled Brodeur leaving. I think it was on both parts. I think it was Brodeur. I think Brodeur
still thought he
could play it. Yeah, I think he could play it. He thought he could play at a higher level when he couldn't, because his game was going. His game was declining slightly.
Mm-hmm.
I think the club did him wrong by bringing in. I want to say by bringing in Schneider, but at the same time, they had to bring someone in. I think the transition was screwed up. I think the transition was absolutely screwed up, and it was done wrong. And yeah, I agree to see him go with the Blues because he didn't play much with them. It's not like he went there and
he got one shutout with them.
And I think that it was just it was poorly managed by the organization on transitioning him out, because transitioning him out had to be done. I do think I'm very happy that he cut his teeth in the front office with St. Louis, because you don't want another John McClain type situation where you got a club,
which still sucks. I still feel bad for that too.
Club legend, for lack of a better term, because he's got a lot of history with the Devils, and he came and coached and it was a disaster. And I'd rather see Brodeur cut his teeth. And if he was going to fail in the front office, I'd rather fail somewhere else that's not New Jersey. And then he's obviously done well enough for the Devils to finally bring him in, or they felt he was at that point where they could bring him in. So I was A-okay with that. So, but if that was the whole plan overall, like, hey, let's ship you out somewhere else, let you be an apprentice with someone else, and then come back, I can understand that too. But we may never know.
I always likened it to Marty went to college.
And
now he's back.
See that? Totally, yeah.
Yeah.
And maybe Brodeur needed to see how another organization worked too, because he was never with another organization. Maybe he had to get out. Just like you said, Sam, like he's going to college. Maybe he had to see how another organization worked. It's possible. I mean, we can talk about this all night, but we'll never know.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of the allure of like what we do as fans, is we sit back and speculate, and a lot of people are like, oh, like this whole Taylor Hall thing about him possibly leaving, or him doing this, or him doing that, or not wanting to sign an extension, and then him saying it or whatever. All that crap, like all that speculation is all we can do, because as a fan, we're not privy to these inside conversations. We're not privy to sitting down with Taylor Hall or Ray Shero or any of these guys and saying, all right, so what is actually going down? And even if you are like a team sponsored, whatever, and you have these inside meetings and these inside like interviews, there's a lot that you don't know, because there's a lot that they don't want to let out there. So it doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't matter what kind of access you have. Even if you have a direct line to Ray Shero and you could put him on the radio tomorrow, he's never going to tell you exactly what's going on. Taylor Hall is never going to tell you really what's going on. Exactly. Nor should he. Nor should
Taylor Hall.
Exactly. Why should you tip your hand? Why should you give away like your position on what's going to be better for you for when it comes to, trying to get your next contract or whatever the hell you want to figure out?
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, it's fun to sit here and speculate. And I try to take the more positive side, or the more optimistic side of like what's going on with the team, even when they were in the tank, as do you and Sam too. But this is an exciting time of year. We're getting down to something that could be a complete game changer of what this organization is going to look like in the next, 3, 4, 5 years, right?
Yeah.
In the next 10 years, this team could go back to its prominence of like consistently making the playoffs, consistently pushing for the Stanley Cup. And damn, does that sound good?
You know what it is? The Hughes Kakko draft drama got stale, and they needed to spice up, to get Devils fans to start clicking more articles. I guarantee that's exactly what it was.
Yeah, because they know they're drafting Hughes. No, I agree.
Yeah,
I agree.
But it's this is the time of year where people will just make stuff up on very little information, because they. The media business is all about dollars and cents and clicks now, and that's exactly what they want. So here I am sounding conspiracy theorist, but you can only talk about who the Devils might draft out of two people for so much and for so long, and you can analyze only so many videos before people start losing interest. And I guarantee clicks went down. So what do? Well, you make something up in order to boost your clicks back up. And it's probably everything that it was. It was just that vague quote and whatever he said, the fourth period ran with it, and then everyone picked it up, and it was a disaster for Devil fans. And then all three of them come out and say this is not the case. And then it goes back to status quo.
Exactly. All Devils fans are so rational on social media. Let's put it that way. I got to say what's up to my brother-in-law, Brian, who's listening now. And thanks for the fun time at Monster Golf for my nephew Shane's birthday today. That was a lot of fun. Never been to that place, and it was pretty wild. It's pretty wild inside.
Sammy, you've returned.
Yes, Jake, I am. Marcus Johansson is my twin brother. Yeah, you got it right.
Yeah, I've returned. I'm trying to close down the show right now.
Hey, I've got to agree with Dave Decker there in the group. I got to agree with Dave Decker in the group. The Blues definitely need someone to step as a hero completely. And he shares the hate for Boston right now. But yeah, someone's got to step up. I mean, you know who I'd love to see score the game-winning goal? Patrick Maroon.
Oh,
I
that'd
would
be
love
sweet.
to see Patrick Maroon come across the net, put it in, and get tripped by Chara and watch Patrick Maroon go flying through the air. How awesome would that be?
Oh, it's kind of like the Bobby Orr, yeah.
Exactly.
Which Boston beat St. Louis, so there you go. There'll be a nice little.
Exactly. I've actually got a pretty awesome shirt with that picture on it from a band from Boston called Have Heart, and it's got that picture, and the caption is "Nobody dives like Boston." It was meant to be referencing stage diving, but it kind of works now too. But I would love to see. I would absolutely love to see Maroon score the game-winning goal. I think that would be fantastic.
Third period is going to be intense, boys.
It is. And good on Binnington. He's played. He's almost like 50-50 when it comes to regular season versus playoff games. He's really only been
one win away. He's one win away from breaking the. He's one win away from breaking the rookie record for most wins in a playoff.
That would be awesome. I love seeing goaltenders come up like this out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And and I was going to bring this up earlier, and I know we're running short on time, but you've got two goaltenders in this Stanley Cup final that wear non-traditional goalie numbers, 50 and 40.
If 40 is my hockey number. It's my favorite number of all time, and it makes me happy. But I can't root for Tuukka because I'd like to see the Blues win it, but that 40 is a sexy number.
But they're non-traditional goalie numbers.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's almost like Binnington was like, they were like, here, we have this number. And he was like, okay, I got it. I'll take it.
What's the best? What's the best number? What's the best? What's Jose Theodore used to wear at 60, right?
Yep. And I'm spacing on Bobrovsky wears 72.
72, yeah.
You saw a rash of Russian goalies wearing 20 because of Tretiak. That was kind of a
Carey. Jim Carrey, I think he wore 31 though.
He may have.
I think
Clemenson wore 40. Clemenson wore 40, didn't he?
Yep. Yeah. For a brief time, because he wore 35 too. He wore 35 and he wore 40.
Didn't he wear 40 in the second go around?
In the second go around, yeah.
Yeah. Other than that, I'm trying to think of any other non-traditional. Not that I can think of. But yeah, those are some of the non-traditional goalie numbers, which, hey, it's better than in Mexican soccer. They allow some of their players to have triple-digit numbers on their back. It's really wild. Oh yeah, like 273. It's insane. And
I am Wayne Gretzky.
Soccer jerseys aren't big. So to cram 3 numbers on there is incredible. So at least the league's not the only team in the league that may eventually have to do that. May be the Canadians, depending on how many more they retire. And actually, unfortunately, the team across the river may have to get to triple digits because they feel like they need to retire everyone's number from, from
that year that they won
of
it.
all time.
Yeah.
They're just going to retire every number. Oh. I hear the outro.
Yeah. So are we going to be back next weekend? It is Father's Day weekend.
I am not going to be around, unfortunately. So if you're back, you're going to be sans me.
We'll talk later, Shorts guy.
All right, we'll talk later. I don't
Yeah,
have
we'll
children.
talk later.
Discussion.
I have my cat.
Yeah, I'm gonna actually. Oops, I'm gonna actually see Nick Villano tomorrow, so there may be a
very
pop-up
cool.
podcast.
Tell Nick I said what's up.
Down in Tampa.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, because we are going to be hooking him up soon with the Let's Go Devils podcast. Wow, we've got a lot of people still chiming in the Facebook Live chat room. But, well, we want to thank all the listeners and Jake for tuning in on the Let's Go Devils podcast. Right now, we don't have a Stanley Cup winner. Will it be tonight?
Yeah, dude, there's a full period to
Will
go,
it be
Sam.
Wednesday?
You watch it now.
Yeah. Will it be Wednesday? I don't know. But I like that dream of Shorts guys, the embellished game-winning goal. Have it go to the other end. Yeah.
By the way,
49 years later.
An instant statue outside.
Oh my gosh! And please watch this save by Rask. That should have been a goal. Oh, the long faces on all the Blues fans. They just showed him outside. And you know who's going to go nuts if the Blues win tonight? Actually, you know what? This might answer our question from before. Cam Jansen will go nuts tonight, and Brodeur and Cam, I know, are very close. So if anyone's going to if the possibility of Brodeur and Cam partying together to celebrate this victory is absolutely there. So it is possible.
By the way, we got to say it because David keeps saying it. Hughes is coming, baby. Hughes is coming.
Hughes is coming.
Hughes is coming. Hughes is coming. All right. Well, this is the Let's Go Devils podcast. Signing off from Florida. Till next time,
And New
Let's go
Jersey.
Devils.